For Module 5.1, we are going over how to solve systems of equations with substitution. The first section of your assignment will be a review on how to find x and y-intercepts. When you are given a table, when I look through, this would be my y-intercept because that gives me 0 for x and my y value would be 8. Now, as I scan through and look for my x-intercept, I'm looking for where y is 0. So for my x-intercept, it would be at 4, 0. So you notice that the x is given for the x-intercept and the y is given for the y-intercept. From a graph, when I look for the x-intercept, let's do y-intercept first. I'm going to look along this y-axis for where it touches. It touches right here. When I count, I need to be careful. It's going by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. That would be -10. So I would say my y-intercept is at 0 for x and -10 for the y. To find the x-intercept, I look along the x-axis for where my line intersects right here. When I count, it goes by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. My intersection is at +10 for the x, 0 for height. When I'm finding the x and y intercepts given in standard form, first I'm going to find x-intercept by plugging 0 in for the y value. That would look like this. -4x plus 3 times 0 for the y equals 12. So I replace the y with 0. That would become 0, so I have -4x plus nothing equals 12. I then divide by -4. X is equal to -3. That means I would have a point at -3, 0 for my x. That's my x-intercept. Now I'm going to find the y-intercept. So to find the y-intercept, I'm going to be plugging 0 in for the x. That means I have -4. I replace the x with a 0. Plus 3y equals 12. Once I have replaced the x with a 0, I simplify, that would go away. I'd be left with 3y equals 12. Divide by 3, and y is equal to a +4. So my point would be at 0 for x, and y is at 4. I go to my y-axis and I put a dot on 0, 4, and then my line would be created through those 2 points. When I'm given slope-intercept form and they want me to find the x and y-intercepts, I will follow the same steps from above. I have my equation. I'm going to find the x-intercept by plugging 0 in for y. I change y to a 0, and it equals 5x plus 1. I will now solve for the x. I will undo the plus 1 by subtracting it. I will then divide by the 5, which gives me that x is negative 1/5. When I write it as a point, I would write it as negative 1/5, comma, 0. To find the y-intercept, I'm going to plug 0 in for x. That would give me y equals 5. Plug a 0 in for x. When I plug a 0 in, the 5 goes away, which means y is equal to 1. I would write that as 0, 1 for my y-intercept as a point. Use substitution to solve each of the following systems of linear equations. First, I'm given that y equals x plus 1. I'm going to take this equation, and I'm going to plug it in right there for the y. So basically, I have x plus 2y equals 8, but I'm going to replace the y with the x plus 1 equals 8. So everything stays the same, except for this y I replace. That is the substitution piece. Now I'm going to solve. I'm going to first distribute, which gives me x plus 2x plus 2 equals 8. Now I will combine like terms. These two are like terms. They make 3 x's total. Now I'm going to subtract 2. Three x is equal to 6. Then I divide by 3. X is a 2. Now I found x. My last piece is to plug it in to find y. So after all of this work, I now take this value. I have the equation y equals x plus 1 from right here. I know that x is a 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. My final answer for this will be written as a point. I write my point as x, comma, y. For question B. This one looks a little bit different. I don't have y equals. This time I have an x equals. So I'm going to take this piece because I know that's an x. And I'm going to replace the x. I'm going to substitute it in. So my equation is y plus 2x equals 7. But I want to replace the x with a 3 plus y. I'm going to follow the same steps from above in the same colors. I distribute. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times y is 2y equals 7. I combine like terms with the pink. A y and a y make 3 y's plus 6 equals 7. I then am going to subtract. I subtract the 6. That gives me 3y equals 1. Then I divide by the 3. Y equals 1/3. I'm then going to take this value and plug it in to find out what it equals for the x. I have the equation x equals 3 plus y. I know y is a 1/3. You can use your calculator to do this, or I'm not sure if it'll allow decimals. I'm going to write it as a fraction, so 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 10 over 3. For my answer, I would have 10 over 3 for the x and 1/3 for the y. Question C. When you are given y equals for both equations, these ones are one of my favorites because I can just take this and say that it's equal to the negative x minus 5 because they're both y's. So I'm going to set these equal to each other. Two x minus 3 equals negative x minus 5. I will then combine like terms. I'm going to add the x over. If I move the x to the left, that means I need to move the minus 3 to the right by adding 3. That gives me 3 x's, cancels, equals, cancels. That would be a negative 2. Divide by the 3. X is equal to negative 2 over 3. I will then substitute that in to one of my equations. When I substitute that in, I can pick either equation. I'm going to do negative x minus 5. I replace the x. That'd be 2 negatives, which would make a plus 2/3 minus 5. I would do this on your calculator. I don't have one currently, so I'm going to make this into a fraction. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 over 3 is still a 5, so this fraction represents the 5. Once again, I would just calculate this, but I don't have one. So 2 minus 15 would be negative 15, 14, 13. Then I would write my x first. Then I would write my y. Question D, I have y equals on both. I'm going to set equal. 2x minus 4 equals negative 7x plus 5. I'm then going to move the negative 7x over with the 2 by adding it. And move the 4 to the other side, I'm going to add 4. 7, 8, 9 x's. Cancels, cancels. 5 plus 4 is 9. I then divide. X is equal to a 1. I then take this one and I can plug it into either equation. This one looks easier. I can avoid a negative, so y equals 2x minus 4. I'm going to replace the x with a 1. You can calculate it on your calculator or in your head. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 4 is negative 2. I would write x first, then I would write the y. Solve and graph inequalities. First, I subtract the 20. That gives me negative 1x is greater or equal to negative 27. I then divide by negative 1, which will flip my sign. There's my solution. When I graph it on a number line, it's a closed dot at the number 27, and I shade to the left. Question B, I'm going to move this x over with that x by subtracting it. I'll move the 16 over with the 5 by subtracting 16. That gives me negative 21x. Gone. Gone. 5 and 16 make negative 21. I then divide. When I divide by a negative, I flip my sign. This is my solution for the inequality. When I graph it on my number line, it will be an open dot at the number 1, and I will shade to the left. See? First, I'm going to add 14. I have to do it to both sides. $16x will be left in the middle. That would give me 144 negative 96. Now I'm going to divide by the 16. I don't flip my inequality signs because I divided by a positive, so my signs will stay the same. Six times 9 is 54. Nine plus 5 is 14. Okay. From there, I will have a closed dot on -6, an open dot on 9, and I will shade in the middle.